Welcome back to video number 19, but part 2 of uploading images or videos or documents, files generally to Azure, right? So I'm not going to do the recap, but please watch video number 18, part 1. I said this will be part 2, right? So, but let me take you through on what we did last time. So on categories, we did add a new category of adults, and this was the image, and the image, I have it open here, right? So this is the image that we uploaded yesterday. So if I click on this category, then I'm redirected to info page where I can now click and see the image uploaded to Azure, right? So I was going to show you the workings of iBlob storage service, right? So let's go to Cover the Shoe web. Remember, this is 2-in-1 project. It's both ASP.NET Core MVC and ASP.NET Core Web API. So we're going to go to services. We're going to go to crew. Then there's a folder specifically for Azure, right? For MVC, you see I called it blob storage, right? So if I click on iBlob storage, I have two methods. This is an interface. The first one returns integer. The method name is upload blob async. It expects a container of string. It expects a form file of iForm file, and it expects a file name as a string. The second method doesn't return anything. This is just to delete that blob async. It expects a container, it expects a file name. So what is a container? A container is like a folder in which you want to group together your blobs. Your blobs meaning can be any file that you add. You can have a folder called videos for videos only. You can have a folder called PDFs for PDF files, or just a document as a container folder name. And then you have all the PDFs, you have Word, you have other types of documents, right? So think of this as like that specific folder name, right? And then everything about that file, it's bundled inside iForm file and the file name itself. So here we expect the file name and then the container, right? So the implementation of it, now this is where it gets very interesting. Let me increase my brightness so I can see clearly from the side, right? So here we have a blob service client. Now this comes from a class azure.storage.blobs.blob service client. The blob service client allows you to manipulate Azure storage service, resources, and blob containers. The storage account provides the top level namespace for the blob service. I forgot to show you the NuGet package that you need. So let's go to packages. Let's see. Yes. Oh, there we go. Azure storage.blobs. I'm using version 12.19.1. So that's the kind of NuGet package that you need, right? So the constructor, we have to make sure that the blob service client is well known, right? Good. Then we have the first method that returns integer, right? So what we do, we have this response. It's also coming from Azure, right? That the type will be blob content info, right? Now this I call just a response, and I say it's null, right? Then I have a var container client, right? So then I say blob service client get blob container client. So there's a specific container, the one that comes through, right? So, but before we talk about this, let's see how do we interact with this. Let's go back to the controller. Now we understand about this guy, right? This is why I want to do part 2. So let's go all the way to the bottom where we are uploading. All right, so we finished this first portion in part 1 of this video. So now we were here to say blob uploaded status, remember the one that we return as an integer, currently set to 0. So I'm going to say await blob storage service, then upload. So now you see on the global variables, I have this one that says container underscore categories underscore Azure blob storage. That means that the container name is called categories. Then I'm passing that form file upload image and that custom file name, right? That's what I'm passing to this guy. So what I'm saying is blob service client, get the blob container client, get me categories as the container, right? We have it here. Now blob client, on that categories, get the blob client, right? And then here's the file name. Then I'm gonna use using, right? Say var stream form file dot open read stream, right? Opens the request stream for reading the uploaded file, whatever file that I have uploaded. Then that response, I'm gonna say await blob client dot upload. This is the guy that actually does the uploading. So I'm gonna pass that stream and say new blob HTTP headers. It's very important to pass in the headers. The content type for it is gonna be the content type of whatever is bundled in here. If it's gonna be image, it's gonna be image. If it's gonna be PDF, it's gonna be application PDF. Do you understand? And so forth. And that response, what I do, I return response.get raw response, right? Dot status. So status is type of integer. So if it's 200, it's gonna return 200, which is okay. Other than that, it's gonna return anything that we don't want. So when we are done, we're gonna get the response here. That response, I'm gonna check if a response is 0, that means it's still 0. Or response, it's not, oh sorry, apologies. What is returned here on the status is 201. Sorry, it's 201 because I remember when I decided to have this if statement, I had to inspect it, what it's been returned, which is 201. It's created. Not to 200, okay, no, 201, it's created. That means we created a new file. Uploading creates a file, so which is 201. So if it's not 201 or it's a 0, whichever one, return null, mean that we failed. Then, even if we failed, right? But this is somehow incorrect. Why is this here? I'll tell you why was this one, because I know if you return, this doesn't get executed. Am I correct? Yes, this doesn't get executed. This stops right here, but this line of code, this 325 is supposed to be in here. The reason being, if it happens, we could not create that image or whatever we are uploading. That custom file name, it needs to be saved temporarily on this property of type string, file name upload image. But now that I'll fix this, I'll investigate. I'll make sure that it doesn't become 200 because this creates a potential bug. And I return that custom file name. I'll tell you why this is important. So let's go up. Remember I said when you upload, there could be a potential exception. And when there's a potential exception, we do what we call delete uploaded blobs, passing in that guy. Because here what we're saying, we are returning that image file name, right? And then we're just going to save it as category image path. It's going to go to the database, right? And it's going to tell us it was success. But if for some reason we could not, and there's an exception, but even if, I need to be able to check if this guy is not null. I do have a couple of issues here. Interesting. You see why I'm making these videos? I hope now you appreciate why I'm making these videos, because two things. Let's go back to this method. If this returns null, if we could not create, that means we could not create a physical file on Azure, right? So there's no need for this guy, hence it stops. I think this is correct because we could not create it. So it doesn't exist. So it's going to return null. Or this one is correct, but we still need to explain this guy. I'll come back in a second. I think there could be another justification why it's there. So let's go back up, but the issue is here. The issue is here. If we return null as we're doing, then whatever that gets to be returned, which is type string, this would have null. I should have this inside. Let's do it. Let's not be lazy. Yes, dump it here. I'll fix it in a second. If image file is null, in fact, in this case, it's not null, then we do this. Else, normally what I do, I redirect it to the index. Yes, we do have the index. In fact, it's still going to the index. So maybe we don't need the else part, because either way it's going to go to the index. You see what I was trying to do? I was trying, because if it's going to go either way to index, whether it's successful or not, so we don't necessarily need the else part. Does it make sense? So this is where you get to make those decisions. So instead, I should just leave it, because what it does, it says there has to be return something. Not all code parts return a value. So meaning we need to return something, but this we don't need. So then that issue will then be gone. So meaning that if this guy is not null, that means we were successfully able to create. We were successfully able to create from here, and which is the status is not 0 as initially intended, and it's 201. Then this will be skipped, and it will be executed. All right. I hope you see what I'm doing, because this becomes clear now. If it's not now, I'm gonna upload another image. No, we can't do that, but I'll test privately. Okay. So you do that, but what if we could not do it? So this is where now we call this guy. Either way. Now, I think I was right. I think I was right to return this guy either way. So we need that else. The reason being, the user has to be notified of what happened. Oh yes, no, this is correct. If it's else, what it's going to do is going to show this message, but it will still get out of the else statement and then execute return to redirect action. If it's success, it's going to execute this one, right? And say it was successful and still redirect it to it. Yes. Here we just need to show that we could not submit the ad. In fact, we could not upload the category at the moment. So the end user has to know, even if but I'm the end user eventually, but now I'm a developer, right? But I have to think like a end user. So we could not upload the category at the moment. Please try again later. Do you understand? Because this will be clear and specific, but this will be an exception. So let's go back to this guy. But this, we still need to explain. Oh, I think it may be possible why this is here. Let me explain, right? Remember we have try and catch block. Yo, can I close these? These are now pain. They're confusing me. All right, and close this one as well. Remember we are inside try and catch block. So we are attempting to do a couple of tasks, right? And then we are saying if this one we could not upload, here it is. If we could not successfully upload to Azure, you do this. If we could not, come here and deal with the else part. But if we did successfully upload, listen to this. If we did successfully upload, meaning that we're going to keep a record of the file that was uploaded to a temporary property, right? This is why here this guy is important. So let's go up. However, if we attempted to now save the record to a database using an async and something happened, this will still trigger an exception. What will happen then, it will be caught in this block here, cache exception. Then we're going to access that file name that's currently stored temporarily on this property, and we're going to call delete uploaded blobs. This is why we go to delete uploaded. That file name, which is this one that was temporarily stored, we're going to delete, meaning that we did, yes, successfully upload to Azure, right? The blob to Azure, with the blob being the image to Azure, right? But we could not save to database. Remember talking about two different servers. Uploading is a physical server. It's on a physical server. The action, everything is on a physical server somewhere in America, right? But saving it to a database is on a physical server here in South Africa. So the exception might still occur just here, where we are attempting to save that, which is, let's go to this guy quickly, attempting to save, which is save changes async. And here, that's what I'm checking. Is it added? This might be anything that other than 0. If it's 1, or anything other than 1. If it's 1, it's successful. But if not, then we could not. Then we could not have that. And that might say that triggered exception because we are catching it. And this is why we're going to have issues, and then the cache block will be executed, deleting that guy. So when we delete, it's the same thing that we are doing here. Let's go back to a service. So in here, we're expecting the container, same container, which is category, and that file name. Again, let's get the blob container, right? And then let's get the blob client. Once we have it in here, we're going to say blob client delete if exist async. And then we're going to delete the snapshot of everything. So this was a smart execution, except that part here where we had to fix. We still need to, this is very important. When you're working with a try and catch block, anything can go wrong. So this was everything about, I can still upload another image. Let's do cancel because I'm going to delete them in any case. So let's say add, let's say kids, so that it becomes different. Desktop, here it is. There we go. But remember, this one is in production, so I'm not working with it, that version. So here is kids. You see, it still redirects where? To the index. So that's why we made that small change to say you're gonna keep either way redirect to the index page, right? But is it gonna be success or is it gonna be failure? Depending on what comes back here, it's gonna be null or not, right? So now let's double check that, and the image is still there. Good. So now I'm gonna delete it because this was for testing purposes. I hope you understand how I went about uploading images to Azure. Another video that I'm gonna make is gonna be about how do I upload from the mobile app through Web API all the way to Azure, because this was MVC, but I'm just giving you, what is to come. So if you want to see more of these videos, please consider subscribing. Like this video if it was helpful. If you want further explanation, you have a concern, you want the clarity, use the comment section below to leave anything, and then I'll be sure to respond. I might do a follow-up on whatever you want me to do, right? So, but just remember, this is for MVC, the blob, but there's also for Web API. Do you understand? And how do we get that? Because with a Web API, with .NET MAUI mobile application via Web API, the challenges are on the mobile application, not via the Web API. But I'm still going to make a video to show that. I hope this video was very informative. Until next time.